Hello and welcome to Strike a Pose. Today's pose is an arm balance and it's called crow pose or Bakasana. It is typically one of the first arm balances you would learn about in yoga, and it's probably, I don't want to say it's easy because you might get mad at me for saying that once you try it, but it is one of the first arm balances because it helps us, we're low to the ground, and it kind of helps us to create leverage and to just feel what an arm balance feels like. So try to give you some tips along the way. So in crow pose, we're going to start, a lot of times we start this from what we call a yogi squat. So we're down on the heels, the knees are out to the sides of your mat. And before you get into this pose, you probably want to do a few hip openers, maybe a pigeon, maybe a lizard. Just open up the hips a little bit before you try to jump right into this. So the legs are out to the sides. Now you're going to place your hands in front of you about hip distance apart. And the key to arm balances is think of chaturanga arms. So just to show you, to come back to your chaturanga, right? Chaturanga is high plank to low plank. So this is basically where a lot of your arm balances come from. 90 degrees at the wrist, 90 degrees elbow and shoulder. And that's where the leverage comes from. So coming back, so think of chaturanga arms. So you're going to come back, you're going to bend at the wrist, the elbows are bent, and you want to keep them just like chaturanga. You want to keep them in towards your sides. So you're going to begin to walk the feet in. You're going to begin to hinge forward. Now another thing with crow pose, a lot of people were actually picking up the legs, and a lot of people try to pick up from here and you end up face planting. So you don't want to just lift the legs. The key is here to go front and back, just like that chaturanga. That's where your balance and your leverage comes from. You start lifting from the bottom up, your head's going to go down. So again, placing the hands into the earth, we're just going to start with one leg. So you're going to begin to lift one knee, and you're trying to get it, so bend the arms so that knee is kind of coming to the top of the tricep or maybe even up to the armpit. So we're going to begin to rock forward, bring that leg up, and then as you hinge forward, you're beginning to lift the other leg up. So the knees, again, can be at the tops of the triceps. They can be a little bit higher, more into the armpit, but it's almost like you kind of have to snuggle in, keep the elbows in, and begin to hinge forward. So you might just lift one leg, that's cool, and just practice that front and back motion. And then until you're able to lift the other leg. So again, arm balances, keep your gaze also to the front, because what happens if you look down, that's where you're going to go. And again, lots of variations with crow. We can take one leg behind us, one leg in front of us, but that is your basic crow pose. So just play around with that and have some fun.